Hello everyone, I'm going to do a little tutorial and show how I do this stitch. This is the pattern that I did on my coral cardigan that everyone seems to like, and I have some of my notes written down here. These were my notes, but you only need to see 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 pattern rows which I am going to do. And without these stitches in front, because these were the actual stitches that I started with on the cardigan. The pattern is only what is in brackets on here. So I'll hold that long enough for anyone to maybe write that down. Just those, the first 4 rows, that's the pattern. So you only need to write down what's written in the brackets, because that's what I'm going to show you, how to do those stitches. And anyone can just pause the video and write that down if they want. So I'm going to put that to one side now and show you how to do this pattern. So as you can see, there are 4 stitches, the actual multiples of 7. The pattern is, it starts off with knit. This is a drop stitch, the knit stitch, but there's a purl on each side of that drop stitch. Put my needle down, it's getting in the way. So there's a purl stitch here, a knit stitch, a drop stitch there, but it's a purl. When you look at it on the other side, it's a purl, and those purl stitches will be knit stitches on either side of the drop stitch. So that's a purl, a drop stitch and a purl, and then there are 4 stitches down the center, and then it's repeated again, a purl, a drop stitch, a purl, 4 stitches, and so on. But on the other side, it is a knit stitch, a purl stitch, a knit stitch, for either knit or purl, or sometimes it's 6 stitches knit or purl, and then the knit stitch and the purl. That's the purl where the drop stitch is on the other side, but I will show you this to start. And I am doing a little swatch which I'm going to keep. I might sew all these together, and you know, all my different stitches that I do. So I'm starting off with knit 2, so they are nothing to do with the pattern, so it's just for the edge of my thingy, so you don't need to worry about those. So I'm going to knit the first 2 stitches. This is row 1. The next stitch is purl, and the next stitch you drop 1 stitch below. Instead of going through the stitch you would normally knit there, go through the stitch below. That's the stitch on the needle, and that is the stitch below there where you're going to go through that, and you knit that stitch, and then just take the whole lot off the needle, and then you do a purl stitch. And as you can see, that little bit there and there, that is that stitch that you just dropped. And now we're going to do 4 knit stitches. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's a purl stitch again, and then you're going to drop 1 stitch below again. As you can see, like I said before, don't knit that stitch, go into the stitch below and take both off the needle, and then it's purl 1 stitch, then knit 4, purl 1 stitch, and drop that stitch below again, and purl 1 stitch, and I'm knitting my last 2 stitches for the edge. So that's the first row of the pattern. And the second row is just plain knits and pearls. My 2 edge stitches I'm doing first. And then we have a knit stitch. And we're doing a pearl stitch where we drop that stitch below. Then a knit stitch. And then it's 4 pearl stitches. As you can see, the pearl rows, you have 2 garter lines like that. We have 1, this is how you know whether you're on the right row or not. That's a garter there, so you're going to do another garter, so you get 2 garter rows like that. It's actually a pearl row, but it comes out like a garter, like the garter stitch. And then we're going to do a knit stitch, a pearl stitch, another knit stitch, and then 4 pearl stitches again. And then knit stitch, a pearl stitch, another knit stitch, and my 2 edge stitches. And the next row, as you can see, we have 2 garter ridges down here, and then there are 2 rows of knit stitches. So we need to do a pearl row across these stitches to match these here. So we're going to knit 2. We're going to do our pearl stitch, which is always a pearl on either side of the drop stitch. And then drop that stitch down. And then we are doing a pearl stitch on the other side of the drop stitch, but the stitches, other 4 stitches, we also want pearl as well to keep the pattern correct. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5, 6. So we're actually doing 6 pearl stitches. After the drop stitch, we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pearl stitches. And then we're doing the drop stitch. And then it will be 6 pearl stitches again. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're doing the drop stitch, and then it's a pearl stitch, and then my 2 edge stitches. And there, as you can see, we're following the pattern down below. We have the garter there. So we're going to do the 4th row, which is the last row of the pattern. I do my first 2 edge stitches, and use a knit stitch first, the pearl stitch, and then as we want another knit row here, because you look on the other side, we have a garter, so we want another garter to go on that side, so we're going to knit the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that brings us to the stitch in the centre where the drop stitch was. So that's 1 pearl stitch, and then we're going to knit 6 again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have the purl stitch where the drop stitch was on the other side, and the last knit stitch there, and then my 2 edge stitches. As you can see there, the 2 garter stitches and the 2 knit rows there. So the next row that we're going to do will be the first row of the pattern, so you want a garter edge on that side. And as you can see on this side, there are 2, like the 2 garter stitches there. So we do knit stitches where those stitches are on the next row. And that is how that pattern is done. And it's quite simple. It's just remembering whether you have to do knit or purl. All I know is makes me not having to keep looking at the pattern for every time is when I look at this side and I see 2 garter rows, I know they're going to be, the next row is going to be a knit row on this side, so that the garter row goes on the other side. So I hope everyone's been able to follow that okay. So give a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll show you more sometime. So bye for now.